Hey, everybody, and welcome to another Industry Night with me, Nycci Nellis, the show that takes you on a deep dive of the happenings in the hospitality industry. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, a little background about me. I have been covering the DC food, wine, and hospitality scene for 20 years. It all started with thelistareyouwantit.com, the online e-zine that tells you everything happening in the DC metro area. Of course, you tune in to Foodie and the Beast every Sunday. David Nellis, my husband, and I have been on air for 15 years. It is still DC's only food and wine variety show. Of course, you follow me at NYCCI, NELLIS, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and now this show here, Industry Night, in its 7th year. Today we are filming at the beautiful Point down at Buzzards Point. If you've watched the last couple of shows, you've seen me chat with Greg Casten about the delicious food that's here, the raw bar, the sushi, but really what the Point has, unlike any other space in the area, is a patio with a view, and it is incredibly gorgeous. So I want to thank you for joining me today. As I do almost every show, I talk about where I've been and what I've been doing. And if you're following me on Instagram, you certainly know I've been out and about. So I did get to stop by Ashok Bajaj's newest property, which is Little Blackbird. It's a little wine bar up in Cleveland Park, right next to Sababa. Ryan Moore is the chef there, and he's putting out really lovely treats and snacks, and there is an amazing wine list. So if you're just looking for a place to literally sit at a bar, have a glass of wine, and have some really good pate, cheeses. I had a grilled halloumi. It was terrific. It really fit the bill. It's so great for that neighborhood. I love it. I also stopped by the Square, Rubén, García's, and Richie Brandenburg's new space. It's really enormous. It's a little like heart palpitating, scary how big the space is. I won't get into where my mind went when I went in there, but I ate at Casa Teresa, which is Rubén's new restaurant. It's darling and lovely and delicious, and it's to celebrate his grandmother, who was a real revolutionary of a woman, and the food is terrific. Gorgeous hamon, gorgeous taste and treats, and the wine list is also beautiful. There was a cannelloni dish that was sort of stuffed with what's in a croqueta, but in pasta, and it was covered with bechamel and melty cheese, and you had me at melty cheese, so it was yummy. And I finally understand why people love cheesecake from Basque, because all the other cheesecakes I've had from Basque, I'm like, this is just burnt cheesecake. I didn't get it. But Rubén's is beautiful and creamy and delicious. So there are some things you definitely want to check out there. Okay, what else did I do? Oh, I just literally drove in from Haymarket, Virginia. I know you're probably like, why would you go to Haymarket, Virginia? I mean, there's some things out there, but there's a lot on the way there. But Joel Valentine is the executive chef of a restaurant called Red House Tavern. It is in a Hilton Garden Inn. Don't side-eye me, because Hilton Garden Inn has just completed their 1,000th Hilton Garden Inn in the world. And it's kind of an interesting property. Anyway, he's doing some amazing food, this Chef Joel. He did a 12-course tasting menu last night in celebration of the 100th Hilton Garden Inns. He trained under Chef Patrick O'Connell and has a real interesting way with food. So definitely, if you're headed out that way, it's definitely worth checking out what he's doing. Okay, all that's on my Insta. Everything else you heard, of course, you can find on thelistareyouwantit.com for more details. You can always ping me with questions, either at Nycci Nellis on YouTube, Twitter, all the things. But let's get to my guest today. So the guy sitting next to me, many of you probably recognize if you're watching, but if you're listening, I met, oh my God, so long ago, I'm dating myself. It was when he was the executive chef of BLT Steak. This is Vic Albisu. And Chef Vic Albisu and I met at a time, maybe like 18 years ago, as DC was really like getting its foodie mojo. Not that there wasn't great food in this city, but as I've discussed on this show multiple times, in the last 20 years, there's been a real change in the breadth and depth of money being spent in the city and the real estate available for it. And I feel Vic was one of the chefs in the city really riding that tidal wave at the time. So he's opened a bunch of his own restaurants.
I have.
He's known as a fine dining chef, but what is really exploding right now is his Taco Bamba concept. It is, I think there's 11 now.
Currently 11, yeah.
With more coming. Okay, so we're going
We're
to get
supposed to be at number 13, but we're at 11.
Okay, well, things take time, Vic.
I do.
So
I do know this.
Let's start. Hi, Vic.
Hi.
Vic Albisu,
Good to see you.
everyone.
Can I
Taco
just-
Bamba.
Can I just tell you?
Yes, tell me.
Can I just tell you how much of a pro you are at all
Aw,
of this?
Thank you.
There was a fly buzzing around you, and you destroyed that monologue. It was awesome to watch.
Thank you. And you see, I didn't even use
You
my
didn't
notes.
even move. I would have probably broken the lamp. I would have probably thrown the
Or done an
table over.
Obama and
I would
caught it.
I would have had a really hard time with it. But you were. I know you noticed it, and you just plowed through like a pro.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was great.
All right. Well, since we're talking about pros,
Yes.
you in this industry, I
Yes.
know you got this start in the industry because of your mother, who I met, but I'd love to talk about her a little bit
I
and
would
what
love
her
to.
influence was on you
Yeah.
that brought you to this career.
Yeah, well, she continues to amaze and influence me. My mother, who who I kind of grew up with, a single mother, and it was kind of us against the world. To this day, it still kind of feels like that, and it probably never goes away.
Right.
She's she was a huge example for strength and perseverance and resilience and growth. She's really shown me, if you're not growing, you're really not living.
Right.
And that's just kind of like the way that she's lived her life, and it's kind of what I have learned to kind of emanate myself and project myself onto my team. And I tell everybody now, like I didn't go to CEO school, and so to find myself the CEO of a growing national brand is something that is it's new.
Right.
It's different for me.
I kind of
wanted a challenge.
I wanted to talk about how not everybody who loves to cook and is an amazing chef is able to be an amazing businessman. I mean, it is.
In fact, most of them aren't.
Right.
I had I was pretty fortunate that I grew up with a woman like my mom, and my father too had his own business. So I saw the ups and downs of it, and it's a different thing altogether.
Right.
There's a lot of amazingly talented chefs. That's and more talented than I'm sure in this. It's different to lead a. We have almost 500 employees at Taco Bamba now.
Wow.
We're about to open our 12th, 13th, and then next year we'll open another 6 stores. So, to create a brand, it's just not something you do on your own.
Right. But I kind of want to back up. So you were in fine dining.
I was, yeah. So I was actually not in cooking in my early 20s. I went to Mason. I started the last thing I said, I think, was working for organizations that did work in Latin America, and I was a project manager for a bunch of different kinds of projects, a whole different career, a whole different life path for myself. And I wasn't, I just wasn't fulfilled, let's just say.
Okay.
I was struggling, to be honest with you. I couldn't get through the days. There were, I knew I had something else out there. Like my body was telling me, like literally, it was a time for a lot of introspection and, honestly, anxiety and depression and things like that that seeped in. When you're not doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing, your body tells you, your mind tells you, everything kind of speaks up. And if you're not listening, that's the problem,
Sure.
So I went and I kind of sold I was engaged. I got disengaged.
Right.
I sold my apartment. I sold my car, and I moved to Paris to start cooking.
Wow.
How
old were you?
I was 24.
But what was it? What was the cooking Jones? I mean,
my whole life I had a knack, right?
Okay.
So to this day, I have this thing where I can taste anything that's in anything, every spice.
You can tell me what's in it.
Cooks have this, right?
Yeah.
At least it's what my mom has it. I have it. It's just a thing, right? It's like perfect pitch, right? If you have that,
but it's not. You're not a super taster because super tasters like.
No, I just know how to
tastes
do it.
screwy,
No,
but
I just
you
got
can dissect it. I love that.
And so it was always in my mind. My grandfather was a great influence in my life. He was a baker in Cuba and was a tremendous cook. So I actually, to get real deep, my grandfather never saw me become a chef, and I think that anybody who knew me along the years, like, probably was surprised at how intense I was, and I was cooking with a vengeance. Like, I was cooking with trying to fill like a very empty hole in me that I would never show my grandfather what I was doing, who I became, right? So or who I was trying to become, better said.
Right.
And so for a long time, I just did it from that perspective, where it was nothing was enough, and it's still kind of, I'm still kind of not enough. Nowhere, nothing's enough. But it was the formative years.
If you think you've checked every box, where are you going?
No, growth is a thing it's an ongoing thing, and it really happens, when you fail, and through lessons in life, and so I relish those moments. I relish the failures nowadays, like when something goes wrong or something's, it doesn't happen as much. So when you're good at stuff, right? But when it does happen, you're like, oh, great.
Learning lesson.
Here's an opportunity.
Yes.
And so, we're leading from that perspective now in the company. And my mom was a huge part of it.
Well, so I'm sort of curious, like, you have this company now.
Yeah.
Was that when you the first Taco Bamba is 2013?
Yeah. Opened the same time Del Campo opened.
I was going to say, open when Del Campo opened. Del Campo, RIP, one of my favorite restaurants.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love Poco Madre too.
Thank you. Thank you.
I really love Poco Madre. You know
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
But
I appreciate that.
But the question. So you still had that. I'm struggling with my question. You had these fine dining establishments.
I did.
That seemed to be where your heart was. But you knew that this concept, there was nobody doing anything like it. Do you know what I mean? This is just at the start of like the sweet greens and the cavas and the things like that. But
there's a bunch of stuff in here that I want to talk about.
Okay, so so what was it about this concept? Did somebody approach you?
So this concept fell out of my head.
Okay.
The name fell out of my head. The ideas all kind of just fell out of my head and turned into something.
Okay.
And it has since become the greatest teacher of me in my life. My ideas and ideas in general is one thing that, this can sound crunchy and hippy dippy and crystally.
Are we getting wooey?
I'm all
for the woo.
Let's do it. The truth is that ideas are alive. Ideas are as alive as we are. My idea turned into something into an organism that's currently got 500 employees, and that by the end of next year we'll have double that.
Wow.
So it has very little to do with me. It has everything to do with the people around me, the people that have supported this idea. And have made it something that others have been able to identify with. We don't grow without other people growing. Jen, who's sitting across the way over there, has been the biggest supporter of this brand, along with Tom Hall, our chef. There's a few others that I could mention, but their growth, when people ask me how do you get to where you are, has nothing to do with me. It's honestly, we're all in support of this idea. That's a living thing that has shown us, if you put in here, it will give you. And her growth, Tom's growth, my growth, the growth of others along the path have brought me to where we are. It has, and that's the difference between chef and business person.
Agreed.
So in my journey as a chef, it was all ego. It was all, it's even still when I cook, it awakens it. It's a thing that I think we all have. On a certain level, maybe I can only comment for me. I don't want to, piss any chefs off out there, or I don't really care, to be honest. But the truth is that it's a very
who are you going to piss off?
It's a very I don't care. I don't give a shit. It's a very egoic profession. You need a little bit of it to get started. You want to see your name in the lights. You see your name in the papers. You want to get your reviews. The reviews matter so much at the time. All those things, that it's just, to me, it seems like such a distant thing. Like, I don't, as much as I respect food writers and I love people talking about food, and yourself, and for years has been supporting this industry in ways that, like, I don't know if you've ever really gotten the amount of, appreciation that you deserve for it. Because it's really such an incredible undertaking to support this industry. It's such an and as I'm forever grateful to for all you've done, and your husband for all you guys have done. But in general, like it's a different there's a massive difference between cooking and existing in that egoic place to just leading and being in service of an idea.
Right.
So I'm in service of my brand. I'm in service of the people that are in service of my brand. I'm in service not just of them. Our service to each other creates this incredible environment to be in service to customers on broad scales. Like, we have lines at the door to this day. It's been 11 years. Nikki.
We have to back up, though, because I think you need to explain the brand and what it is, how it started in 2013, and how it's evolved.
So I opened Del Campo at the same time as I opened Taco Bamba.
Right.
Taco Bamba delivered late. Del Campo delivered a little bit early. So within 2 months of each other, me coming off of my tenure as a chef at BLT, a year later, I had 2 restaurants, one in a suburban strip mall that no one could see from the street.
I remember, I was there.
And then Del Campo, which was a high-end South American grill, kind of an ode to my time as a butcher in my mom's market.
Right.
And to all things South American, which is my mother and the life that we've kind of lived together. And Del Campo did really well for a really long time.
Hey guys, can I ask you to quiet it down? It's distracting. Sorry.
So Del Campo did really well for a really long time. But Taco Bamba just had something else.
Right.
Taco Bamba just had this special thing. And you start to realize that it's the main thing that it had, that Del Campo, the main difference, it's better said, is that it was not about me. It was about food I was having fun with.
Right.
It was food that was in a paper plate. And I tell everybody to this day, I used to see my reflection in the plates that I was creating. And if anybody grabbed that plate incorrectly, something fell over, anything, it was like the world was coming to an end in my kitchens, right?
Were you a yeller?
I was a yeller.
Okay.
But because I saw, like, literally it was my reflection. It was my ego. It was on a plate every time. Every single time. And if anybody messed with it, if anybody did anything with it, it was crushing.
Okay.
And I learned this is one of the first places where Taco Bamba taught me a lesson. I don't see my reflection in the paper plate.
You can't see yourself in a paper plate.
And to this day, it's one of the most freeing. I can just cook. I can just design food, design restaurants.
Like you can create. So
I can
you're
create.
creating.
Yeah.
So at Taco Bamba, the initial menu, what was the vision of it? Like, I want to know how you started, because it's a massive menu. It's not like 10 items. Like, you've got a lot of things there, and you're constantly changing things, and you have a cocktail menu. Like, this is not a corner store taqueria. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but this is different.
Yeah, for sure. It's not your traditional, taqueria. It's definitely not. You're right about that. It does fit into some of these kind of more humble settings, like right next to my mom's store, Plaza Latina, in Falls Church.
And was that just kismet? Did that opportunity just
it just came about. So there was a dollar store in the center, and it was my mom, and this dollar store opened, and he started.
Your mom has a Latin market.
Latin market, Plaza Latina, and it's got a great butcher shop, and she has amazing stuff, and this guy opened up shop in there with a dollar store and started selling all the same stuff my mom was selling and undercutting her. So she talked to the guy, to the landlord, like, look, get me if you give me that store, I'll open something there.
Okay.
And so eventually the lease came up, and they gave it to my mom. She signed it, and she had no idea what she was doing.
Okay.
And then I went to her, and I'm like, let's do a taqueria. She's like, what? And I'm like, let me do it. And she's like, why? You're doing Del Campo right now. And I was like, well, yeah, but I feel like this is the right move. But
I remember that day I went out there with you. Like, there were people like who brought their own tables.
Yeah, they would bring their own tables. They would eat on their cars, in their cars.
They just sat out.
There was hundreds of people.
It was insane.
It was such a massive experience. I remember the first year that we opened. We'll share numbers. It's fine with me.
Right.
We did like, I don't know, $800,000 or $900,000 in sales, right?
Wow.
And I thought I did it. I can't believe it. This little place, you can't see it from the street. I'm doing these things. And then by the end of the following year, we tripled those sales.
Wow.
And so you couldn't even walk in.
And but we also have to talk about what that price point is, because we're not talking, like, your price point isn't gouging. People can come in, they can order a bunch of things.
Yeah, I think the main difference, I think right now most taquerias are in line price-wise. I think for us, it's really about what sets us apart, which is flavors and textures and ideas that we build into tacos that nobody does, because it's our style of food.
Okay.
We've developed our own style of food. We've developed our own style of taco, our own kind of combinations. It is not something that's replicatable.
Right.
I could give people the same playbook and they would not come up with it. It's just us. It's how we combine. It's how Jen and I combine. It's how Tom and I combine. It's how the people that got us here do it. And that's what the brand is. So we're always going to be a little bit different. And so every store has its own menu. Every store has its own artwork. Every store grows in its own way. I mean, we were even throwing around the idea of completely changing the colors. And I mean, it's never going to stop, because the idea is that it's about growth, and it's got to be, and growth only exists when you're challenged.
Right.
And so we have to create the challenge constantly. So it would be super easy to scale the same menu that's doing almost,
but
4 times the amount of sales it did as 4 years.
But I have a question about that menu, because the menu, I'm curious if people, when you first showed maybe people in the industry the menu, or I don't know, friends or whatever, and did they look at the menu and be like, dude, you got too much? Like, did you hear a lot of no?
Everyone.
Did you hear people like, you've got too much on here. You don't need to do 40 tacos. You don't need to do the tortas and this and the alcohol. Like, you don't need to do all this. Like, clean it up.
They still tell me that.
Do they really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm told that I'm crazy on the regular.
Okay.
So it's.
See, I think of you as super thoughtful. I do. I think of you as you are a thoughtful chef, but with a lot of intention in what you want to do. So I assume, based on our relationship and what I know about you, that when you're putting that menu together, you have a plan in place. You're not just throwing it against the wall and seeing if it sticks. I don't know what to tell you,
Nycci. I think that the more thoughtful, maybe. I mean, the purpose was definitely to turn tacos on their head a little bit, and to create little dishes within each taco that made sense.
Right.
That made sense to people who loved authenticity as much as people who didn't, who are just more, So for me, it wasn't, and it continues not to be about anybody but the idea.
Okay.
It doesn't. I don't listen. I don't listen to reviews. I don't listen to critics. I don't listen to Yelp or Google, or I don't read it. I don't engage it. I don't. I don't have that need anymore.
Okay.
Within Taco Bamba,
but I assume you creates trust on your team. Like you.
Sure,
it has to run like a machine in order to be successful.
Of course, I trust my team. Yeah,
right?
I love my team and respect my team and believe in my team and am in service of my team. Like for that's where it all comes from. And so I was told the menu's too big. I was told back then, I mean, like, let's rewind to 2013 and remember that opening a taqueria in a strip center in Falls Church for the chef that I wanted to be at the time was literally like something I wanted to hide.
Yeah.
It was more like not the thing to promote. It wasn't going to get me a James Beard Award or a Michelin star at the time in my mind. And all those things somehow mattered. And to me, they just, that all has washed away.
Right.
And I've never had more growth and more success since I've just engaged service and gratitude and total dedication to the brand.
But don't you also think maybe, as you talk about, like, when you graduated college and you were in international affairs and that was unsatisfying, and maybe everything is leading you to this moment. So maybe your path in fine dining was actually leading you. It wasn't going to be satisfying, because at the end of the day, this is where it was supposed to take you. Do you know what I mean?
I'm never satisfied, and I I believe that we're living the net sum of all of our lives, all of our moments in our lives. So I'm very much about the moment. I'm very much. I'm very grateful for all the things that I've gone through along this path, and it's been a lot.
Right. Can we talk about some of those things? Like, what were some of those moments for you? So, like, you opened Del Campo, you have Taco Bamba, you're hiding it, right? It's not. You're not.
It just wasn't the thing, right? I wanted to be known for my fine dining chops.
What made you decide to go and be like, oh, I'm going to open up another one? Like, How do you
Well,
create that?
Well, I was told, and by a lot of people in the industry, as soon as I opened, when's the next one? When's the next one? And so it took me 3 years to open the next one.
Okay.
Because I didn't believe it. I didn't believe the hype. I was like, this ain't real.
Right.
Like I need some, and I was so busy, trying to be, the Paul Bocuse of the
We call it Big Knocker.
of the South American grill.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so I really, honestly, everyone told me along the path, this is not gonna, it's not visible. The menu's too big. It was back during the time where Gordon Ramsay was telling everybody just to do a roast chicken on their menu and some great fries, and it'll be fine.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I have 38, different options, and now it's way bigger.
But
So
I don't know if you remember this. When Brian Voltaggio opened up Range, we were all there. It was actually.
I remember clearly because we did. No, wait a second. I did a cooking competition against Brian Voltaggio.
Okay.
At the City Open. You were a judge.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You don't remember?
I remember, but I remember you and I walking into
That was
Range.
a great story.
Walking into Range, and it was friends and family. It was Thanksgiving weekend. I mean, it's right now.
Yeah.
We went that Sunday, I guess,
13
and we
years
all
ago.
came. 13 years ago, we all came, and I remember you and I were walking through, and we were walking through the space, and you're like, "This is like big." You're like, "I don't get," and the kitchen was massive, and you were like, "I don't get the math. I don't get the math," and I was like, "Ooh, tell me more. Like, what don't you get?" Like, I really wanted to hear because not everybody understands that, especially people who aren't in the restaurant industry.
Yeah, no, I was fortunate early on to know, to have a sense of realism when it came to the numbers to a certain extent, and like understanding what's worth the investment and what isn't. And
right.
And but to go back to that moment, it's funny that you bring that up because I'll never forget, because it's relative to Taco Bamba.
Tell me.
So I walked in the City Open, and I had been dismissed from my job at BLT.
Okay.
Okay. For reasons I won't get into, not anything I did.
Okay.
But anyway, so I walked in. I'm like, I had a poster board that said Taco Bamba on it, and I'm like, hey guys, do you mind if I put up an easel with this next to this, just in case anybody snaps a picture, because it's me against Brian. And I'll tell you, back then, a competition like that, it was 3 courses in like 45 minutes.
I remember.
That's not an easy thing to pull off from start to finish, all the way. No
It's
sous
a
chefs.
stupid idea.
No, it was a crazy idea.
Right.
So it was just me against him.
Right.
And he's just coming off Top Chef, and so I was like, okay, I hope he's okay. And I asked Brian when he walked in, I'm like, hey man, you mind? I'm just gonna put the little sign up. And he's like, no problem. And literally like 5 minutes later, the whole side of the tent had his face with Range on it. It was literally like 38 feet high and 40 feet wide of him like plating a dish.
Right.
Really like
I could see it in my head.
Yeah. I was like, what, Brian? Like, like I'm asking for this little thing.
Right. And he's
no,
like,
it was great. We had a great time, and it was really fun. It was kind of like a David and Goliath thing at that time. And,
right.
But I love Brian, and I'm so happy for the career he's had since. It's just, for us, it's been a different journey. Like for me, it's been a journey of awakening. Like I said, Taco Bamba's been the biggest teacher I could ever ask for. It's been, it's a thing where like the more I put in, the more things grow, right? The more, when people keep telling me to zig, I always zag, and I keep opening and challenging locations. And
that was going to be my next thing. Can we talk a little bit about real estate selection? Do you think that where you opened up the first time, which had all these sort of checks against it, not visible from the main road and tucked away and etc., do you look
this
for
is one of my favorite subjects. Do
you look for spaces that sort of replicate that?
Well, so understand that there's 11 Taco Bambas right now,
right?
And I've chosen every single one of them, and to a lot of puzzled faces all the way around. They're all doing quite well, gratefully. I look for challenging spaces. I wanted to prove this brand could grow and thrive and exist in places that most people wouldn't dare touch.
It and they will
whether
come.
It be Springfield or
Rockville, you have a space in
Rockville, Gaithersburg.
Right.
All these places are a lot of these places are like, there's a Taco Bamba there. Like you hear that a lot.
Okay.
Right. In Landmark, we just opened in basically a a very humble center. I think everybody needs access to this food and what I do and how we do it. And so I don't have a problem going to an A+ location or a D+ location.
Okay.
In some cases, some people may say an F, but we haven't failed yet, thankfully. The idea is that the brand can exist wherever we put it. And that's one of the things that I needed to prove. And I needed to prove with risk and with showing what I'm talking about. I'm not just saying it. We're doing it on a daily basis. We're succeeding in places that I think most people wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole.
But unlike a lot of the fast casual concepts that are out there right now, and this isn't a criticism of them, it's just an observation. They don't zig and zag to fit the community. They have
That's right.
I'll use Kava as an example. Great guys, great concept.
Great.
But a Kava is a Kava. A Sweet Green is a Sweet Green. They're not specific to the place where they are. You go in and curate for the neighborhood you're in, which I think is really interesting for a fast casual concept.
And people used to ask me, how are you going to do that when you have 5 stores? Well, I mean, we're doing it. How are you going to do it when you have 15? How are you going to do it when you have 30? Right. I'm going to do it. That's the challenge.
Right.
That's the challenge ahead of us. And let me just say something about those guys that you mentioned. I think that one thing that DC needs to take a major bow for is the creation and the birth of amazing brands that are experiencing
national
growth on scales that should really be cared. A lot of people, when things grow to a certain place, they kind of whatever, it's just this or it's just that. I do not.
I disagree. I'm with you.
I have a lot of respect for the. So I'll tell you for those guys, Sweet Green, Kava, Five Guys,
right.
all these places that were born in this area. I'll tell you why. My experience has shown is that this is an incredible area for fast casuals because this is an area that's on the go. It's got tons of different ethnic groups that you can go and get their food in their hoods or in their places. But why would we go to a fast casual? You got to deliver as a fast casual.
Yeah.
You have to deliver in that space, in that price point, because there are so many other options available to you, from Latin food to Asian food to Ethiopian food,
right?
Mediterranean. There is amazing food all around this area, and the places that make it out of DC in the fast casual world are exceptional. It doesn't just happen. Right. It happens because of what DC means. You don't hear the same story from tons of other cities.
No,
you don't hear success stories on that broader scale. I love this. I love this area for that.
What I think is really interesting, just to go down that rabbit hole for a minute, is that there are lots of fast casual brands that come to DC that don't make it.
They don't do well. No,
they don't make it.
They don't do well because they don't understand.
Right.
They don't understand what's available here. You can go to Eden Center. You can go to Centerville or Annandale, where I grew up. You can spend time in places and get humble, grateful food for the prices that people are trying to charge you for a bowl of this or that.
Right.
So and within there, you see these are the lessons that I learned along the path from Taco Bamba. When you ask me about the menu doesn't happen without it being executed. And it doesn't happen. People, the main question people have from operators or chefs or whoever is how do you execute it? Nobody wants to work. The talent pool is very low. Everybody's, So again, here's where I zag instead of zig. Is that I make everything super complicated. I make everything super difficult. I make everything super challenging because that's where you find the people who can do it. People hear that it's difficult and they dumb things down and they make things simpler and they make things easier for people. Then their concepts suffer.
Sure.
Their sales suffer. No one's growing in that environment. So in my environment, people are growing. In my environment, I'm seeing people grow from dishwasher to chef, cashier to general manager, and regional manager. There are opportunities that come from the challenge, and I will never stop on that level. I will never stop. I'll never dumb it down. I will never. That's just not going to happen here. This is what this journey has taught me, that the conventional wisdom is not wise most of the time.
Okay.
The wisdom is found in places that people don't find some difficulty with and disagreement with, and that's where I live most of my life. So
well, but let me ask you, because listen, on this show, and I mean just in our industry in general, the talk about staffing shortages is major, right? It's
I don't have any problems with that.
So you have no problems, and you attribute it to the fact that
I'm also not cooking, but
you said yourself you have 500 employees.
I do.
It will double. So how do you feel that you are
near
creating
almost 500? Yeah,
a work environment that people are like, oh yeah, I do want to work there?
it used to be not for the faint of heart.
Okay.
It used to be really intense.
Yeah.
It used to be, and that's where I found my satisfaction, where some of the people around me found it, and we had to evolve. We had to grow from that, because that's just not a place that everybody can succeed or live or grow or thrive in. It's the other side of the coin. So you have to find a balance, but it's all in the challenge. It's all 100% in the challenge. Give people more to do. Give people, when you build a taco Bamba, and we build thousands a day in this company. Right. It's a 9-step taco. It's not like just put it in there and send it out. Right. Somebody touches that taco 9 times, and we have 15 tacos on that are like that on the menu. And then we have another,
they're labor intensive.
We have another 15 tacos that are not like that.
Okay.
But then there's tortas, there's bowls, there's we're not doing these clean style tacos, and we're doing dirty style tacos. And
what are the clean ones? What are the dirty ones?
Oh, the clean ones are any taco on the menu in a very delicious and crisp cabbage cup.
That's
it's not
for
a lettuce
me.
cup.
I know, but it's for me.
It's for you. I can eat like endless ones of those, by the way, and they're delicious. And when people look at them, they're like, "Huh?"
No,
but it's really good.
Listen,
and cabbage holds up real well, so it's real crisp and fresh, and so it holds up well to,
I'm there for
all the. Then the dirty ones are more the Bamba style stuff, which is we throw whatever whatever taco you're asking for on the plancha with cheese and onions and a sweet chili sauce, and we flip it over and stack it with awesomeness. It's a whole other avenue,
right?
But it's for people on either side. Whenever Jen pushes for something healthier, I also have to put something a little bit filthier on the menu to make sure that it's good. She asked for a bowl, and I put on the Jeffrey. The Jeffrey is a huge double-sided egg roll that's like that big, that's got all of our leftovers with queso on it, folded into it, at the end of the night. And you should see people walking around with huge sleeves of Jeffrey.
Imagine.
It's the best. It's more funny to me than anything else. I don't really do it for the
the rise.
I'm not gonna get a James Beard Award.
Maybe
for
the rise of Taco Bamba goes hand in hand with the rise of the ability to get marijuana and gummies. Like,
maybe
it's stoner food.
It
does go
it's got a little
hand
stoner
in hand.
quality to it. For sure. For sure, it's got a little.
It's got that.
I don't know. Maybe. I think all food probably benefits from
I totally
the
agree.
munchies. Right?
But to me, like, when I saw that you did the clean ones,
I
was like, right, that I love your food and I love tortillas, I love all that, but I can't eat like that regularly.
No, who can?
So to me, the cabbage is
a
like,
lot of people do,
thank you. Yes, a lot of people do.
Yeah. Well, it started because Jen was frequenting a different a competitor, let's just say.
Okay.
And she's gonna start flicking me off off the camera.
Okay,
here.
this is Jen Resick. She is his communications director.
She is more than that. Jen's basically the president of the company. She helps me with strategy. She helps me with growth. Jen should probably be the one that you're interviewing.
Okay.
To be honest with you. But she was eating lettuce wrapped tacos somewhere, and that looked very.
You looked
sad
down on her.
And I was upset. I don't usually get upset. I'm very, I'm lacking in ego now, as we discussed. I'm experiencing lots of spiritual creaminess. Right. But in general, I went straight to the store and I created the taco, and it's in her namesake now, the General. It's a ahi tuna taco.
Yum.
It's really good.
Yes.
It's in a number of stores. I don't know which ones there are anymore.
Okay.
But it's peppered around the company here and there. But then it sparked. Well, let's keep going with this, and let's start wrapping everything in cabbage cups.
I have to imagine that has a lot of people that reaches a different audience in a different way, right? Because it feels like, they see me, they understand that I want to be healthier.
I get it, and you can, a lot of these dishes, a lot of these tacos are just little dishes that want to be consumed, and you can't when they're double wrapped. So
Right.
So I can eat like 9 clean tacos where I can only eat like 2 or 3
I get
regular
it.
tacos. So
So how did you wind up going outside the region? Like,
So
where are you now?
That's a good question. We are now we're all over DMV.
Right.
Coming back to DC, coming back to city, starting our foray
by the Wegmans, right?
back, starting our return to the City Ridge, and then we're going back to our old location in Chinatown with a brand new concept to be named for the back
Wait,
area.
the whole space?
Yeah, taking the whole space back.
Yeah.
In Sterling, Virginia, we're opening a Taco Bamba there.
Congratulations.
That's gonna be. I'm very excited. We get a lot. There's a lot of loud requests.
Loud and people?
Loud and people.
Yes.
That want Taco Bamba.
It's a great area.
It is great. It is great. I mean, I love Virginia. It's really, they really come out for us, and I'm forever in the
But
debt of
how'd
our,
you wind
our-
up in
our cult
Nashville?
followers.
Are you in Nashville?
We just opened in Raleigh, so Nashville's coming up.
Okay.
Raleigh, we opened really. We started a partner. We took on partnership a couple years ago.
Okay.
To help us fund our growth, and our partners are wonderful people that are they're based out of Raleigh.
All right. And they were like, we want one here.
And it's been fantastic. It's honestly, don't tell anybody, but it's like the nicest Bamba you could ever imagine. It's like a freestanding building
Okay.
with its own patio. It's got a big, what we call the grassy knoll, which I don't know if that's what we should call it, and where people like run around.
Well, you're not in Dallas. You can call it the
Yeah,
grassy
okay,
knoll.
whatever you
There
say.
you go.
People don't even remember it
Right.
anymore. But it's an awesome location. And Raleigh feels a lot like Northern Virginia. It's a very, I think there's a very sophisticated palate in Raleigh. Believe it or not, they want, they want. There's some great restaurants. It's a great scene, and we've loved every second of being
But
there.
don't you find that a lot of these areas, like whether you go out to Loudoun or the suburbs of DC on the Maryland side, there's just been an investment of money in real estate and retail and restaurant spaces that is bringing better food, better options, and you have a more educated clientele.
I mean, I do find that there in general, since when I started till now, there is a vast sophistication of what people want for dining in their food.
Agreed.
And I think we've all been a part of that. We've all been a part about raising that bar. You've been a part of it. All of our chef friends and people. We've all tried and done. And when you see people kind of upset because somebody copied this or copied that, at the end of the day, it's good. Everything, the rising tide kind of lifts all ships. So
Right.
So it's such an important idea to keep pushing us up, right? You think you're done, you're never done. I'm never done creating. The best thing that could happen is more reasons to create.
Good.
And that's where we're at. That's what.
Well,
what
does it?
Taco
So you're
Bamba's all
creating
about.
now with a mezcal.
Oh yeah, we just started a mezcal.
So how does that dovetail with what you're doing?
Well, because we love mezcal. That's one
Okay.
of our things. I'm not a huge imbiber anymore. I don't drink. I literally ask anybody that knows me, drink 0 alcohol if it's not mezcal.
Okay.
Like I won't touch it. So if you don't have it, I'm having sparkling water.
Okay.
So we're all mezcal. We're like a cult, a merry cult of mezcal drinkers, and aficionados. And Jen came up with the idea of trying to find a place or a brand to adhere our brand to and see how it goes. And Ray Campero in Oaxaca, they were amazing. They let us tour the facility, choose our mezcal, choose our blend.
Well, what is it that you wanted in your mezcal? Because there's a real misconception about mezcal out there.
Tell me what that is, because I don't.
I don't know when it started, but there was a misconception. Like you had tequila,
Yeah.
and then as mezcal was hitting the market, I think the original mezcals were like bad Chardonnay. Do you know what I mean?
It's a little rough.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Think
to be
about
honest,
the
to this
Chardonnay.
day, though.
Think of the Chardonnay out of
Yeah.
California, and it was so buttery and yellow and
Yeah, it's a little
had that flavor on your
little
tongue.
tacky. Yeah.
So there's so many people who think they don't like Chardonnay.
Yeah, mezcal's different.
But same thing.
Mezcal has less distillation. Mezcal is a little closer to the earth. There's something beautiful about it. It's it's just a different experience to imbibe in mezcal than anything else. I find it more of a a psychedelic than it is even a.
Okay.
It feels different.
Mm-hmm.
It tastes different. It's rough at first. It takes a minute to develop your palate for mezcal.
Sure.
It takes a minute to fight through. It can be strong. It can be, but once you do, you speak the language. It's very difficult to speak any other language.
So now that you have this partnership, what do you want to do with it?
We just want to see how it goes,
Okay.
and see how, and see what comes next. If it sells well, and we want to do more, and I hope to. I hope everything that I touch grows.
Good.
I hope everything that we do is creates other opportunities and other things.
Well, I want to
that's what
sort of
life's
wrap
about.
up on. You're also very
We're done
charitable.
already?
I know it goes fast, man.
I think I've watched you just get younger as this whole thing.
Shut up.
Every minute that passes by,
Sweet
you're like Benjamin
sweet
Button.
talking will get you.
You're like the Benjamin Button of
right.
the podcast host.
But let's talk about you're always have been very involved with charities.
Yeah.
You started your own. You work with Jose. How is that all
You can't
affecting what you're doing, and where do you see yourself putting your passions for charitable organizations? Like, where do you want to be within that?
So one of the things that I learned along the path, I learned it from Jose, who's been a great friend and mentor in a lot of ways, is that you can't have any of this stuff that we enjoy and the growth that we enjoy without giving, and without being in service of those who don't have much to be in service for. So the idea of World Central Kitchen was literally, I'm very grateful to have been a founding.
You went and joined him in Texas.
I was a founding board member. It was before then. I mean, it was literally myself, Brian McNair, who came from DC Central Kitchen, and Jose. It was literally
so you're talking about like when they were in Haiti, right?
Before.
Wow.
Yeah. So yes, the Haiti times when we're doing clean cook stoves.
Right.
And we I did it. We did it in Nicaragua. We did it in Peru. We did it in multiple places. It evolved. World Central Kitchen evolved into a disaster relief model that was genius, really, on Jose's part, because it's this kind of like inverted pyramid. It'll never end. It's kind of it's an organization that will continue forever, which is very difficult to pull off. But it's relative to Jose's enormous heart and genius. So I learned so much that when I kind of pivoted away from World Central Kitchen, never really pivot away, but it's just, I did want to start something that was specific. And so I joined with a few people, back with Brian McNair, who is now with the Kitchen of Purpose, by the way. And he's a fantastic guy. Be a great interview for you, by the way.
I've interviewed him. I love him, but
great.
I have to bring him back.
Yeah. And we started with another gentleman. His name was Piruz Zia, who is a great friend and one of the best endodontists in the country, if not the world. And so what we do is we founded Smile on the World, where we take chefs and we take dentists to people who've never met a dentist, and to people who need food and need a little support to get on track in their lives. And we go and we set up shop and we cook and we give, we feed, and we clean their teeth. And I don't do that, or else it would be. I don't have enough insurance for that, I don't think. But they do amazing work, these dentists, and we're hoping to continue on. Hopefully, another trip to Peru this year to help people in Peru. It's a small organization, but it's got a big heart.
I love it.
And we hope to do much more with it. Again, you don't grow without giving. You don't grow without letting go of ego and all the things and all the trappings of it. I think it's very important to understand where Taco Bamba is, and it's, we're at a place, and I preach this to all our employees and all the people that I'm in service of, is that, feeling bad about anything or feeling overly good about anything has the same effect on the organism. We have to stay very balanced in our desire for growth. We've got to stay very balanced in our service to our creative ideas, and so our success is really based and predicated on that. It has very little to do with how great any one of us are. It has very little to do with anything like that. I don't see the world on those terms. I see the world in terms of how much I can contribute and how many people can contribute to an idea, and I can't wait to do more with it.
Right.
So we're just getting started. Every day is like a blank slate. Is a new day. It's a new opportunity, and I'm grateful that you gave me the opportunity today to talk. I love talking to you.
No, it's
especially without your husband here.
I will tell him you said so. No, listen, knowing you for as long as I have, watching your growth and being, getting to be alongside you as it's happening is, it's exciting for me too.
Thank you.
It's great to watch.
Thank you.
Those that I love succeed.
I love you back. Yeah, thank you. I'm grateful for that. It means so much. All of this we're all interconnected in some way, and my success, is not my own. It's literally that of so many others, and I try to pay it forward as much as I can with my friends, and I want to see them grow. We just came from IAGU. They're opening.
Going there tomorrow.
And people that I love and adore, and I believe in so much, and there's so many like that in the city who this is a real proving ground. Washington D.C. is.
Agreed.
It's not an easy city to master. It's not an easy city to succeed in. But therein lies all the opportunity. It's all in the challenge.
There are really good people here.
Absolutely.
Which I mean, I feel grateful for. So,
absolutely.
All right, tell everybody where they can find you online or on Insta. Where are we following you? Just Tacobamba?
Tacobamba.com. I should have told you the story of how I got Tacobamba.com because somebody else owned it.
Oh.
But anyway,
that's another show.
For next.
Okay, great.
Next.
Thank you for coming in today.
And on Instagram and on all those channels and.
Thank you for coming in today. I love hearing you. I love hearing what's going on. I cannot wait to see what's next.
Anytime. I can talk to you for hours.
I know.
We should do a long format.
This is the long format.
3-hour banger. All right. Jeez.
All right.
Man,
Chef Vic Albisu, Tacobamba. Check him out. See all the things he's doing. Maybe I'll have information on more of what he's doing on that I Street location, 7th and I, the old Del Campo space, Palco Madre space, and Tacobamba space. I have so many memories. Like I'm thinking of, what's his name sitting outside serving the soup? Okay. Anyway, on that note, thank you
I said Fez outside with pozole, buckets of pozole.
I bought it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget you can follow me at NYCCINELLIS on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course you can watch this on Instagram and download it on all your favorite podcast channels. Thanks so much for joining me today and have a delicious week. So this is a little bonus round because we talked about Nashville, but you didn't really tell me anything about it. You sort of yada over Nashville.
You're right. I tend to do that. Yeah. So a few years back, somebody texted me and sent me this video on YouTube, a YouTube video about it was ZZ Top was playing Wolf Trap.
Right.
And
are you a fan?
I'm a huge fan.
Okay.
So I'm a guitar player.
I know you did a rock band, right?
Yeah, I had a rock band for a while. Very famous.
Mm-hmm. You had long hair.
I had very long hair.
Mm-hmm.
And wore leather pants and cowboy boots and things like that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'll send you pictures.
Okay.
So I'm I get this video of Billy Gibbons going to the crowd in Vienna at Wolf Trap saying, "I went to this place called Tacobamba," and the whole place like cheered, which is like I was like, "Oh, stop, please!"
Right.
And I'm like, he's like, he was just going on and on about it. So we got in touch, and every time he comes through or whatever, we're actually always texting and stuff now, which has been an amazing honor he's like a childhood hero of mine. Okay. It's like meeting Jimi Hendrix or something, right? So, and so he's like, "You got to go to Nashville. You got to be in Nashville." He's like, and it's almost too late. It's almost too booming. And so we went and we found this great spot in the Hill Center, in Green Hills, Nashville, right next to the Whole Foods, where like every celebrity shops, like Chris Stapleton and like Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman, all these people like just roaming around there.
Are you kidding?
It's the best.
I've never been to Nashville.
What?
I've never been.
Dude, Nashville is the best.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite places You gotta come. You should come for the opening.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, you should. We'll figure something out. Let's see if we can't make it happen.
All right. So
You're gonna love it.
When is that going to open?
Early next year is the best thing I know.
Okay.
I'm not a good date guy. I miss them all the time, but I know it's happening in 24.
Okay, great. All right. Well, you'll keep us posted, and if we can, we'll go down and see you there.
Produced by Heartcast Media.